Good morning, Crispin. Thank you for getting up so early today. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
I'm glad to hear that. Listen, greetings from Toronto, and we know where Lucky Day was shot.
That's right, yes, and in particular in Hamilton.
That's right, Hamilton, which is not very far from here. How do you enjoy working in Canada? And I hope we treated you well while you were
Oh,
making the film.
absolutely. Of course, the Canadians are notoriously polite, and it's true.
Notoriously.
and
Yes, we are. Well,
I
good.
always enjoy working in Canada. I've worked in Canada a lot, and I'm shooting also American Gods in Canada, and I've worked in Vancouver. I've worked all over Canada, and I like it.
Well, good. Listen, you're always welcome.
And
We love having you.
I've also toured with my own films and live shows that I perform in Canada as well. So I've been in Canada a lot.
Well, that's awesome. Well, keep coming here. We
Yes.
love having you. And listen, let's talk about Lucky Day. Now, this movie is one crazy wild ride. Was that when you first got the script, or when you sat down with Roger to talk about it? Was that the first thing that kind of jumped out at you?
The first thing that jumped out at me was the character, which was excellent. It was obviously a great role immediately, and I was on the set. I think 7 days from the day that I'd read the script to performing, so which is a pretty fast turnaround for a relatively complex character. But it's just when an opportunity presents itself, you've just gotta do it.
Oh, absolutely, you do, and I'm glad that you did this because I don't know if I should be scared of you or more impressed with you, because I want to know, Crispin, how on earth do you get inside the head of this psychotic contract killer? I mean, he's off the rails.
Well, I've seen that written. Even when we were shooting it, they used the word psychotic. I'm not sure that medically the character would be considered psychotic. Part of what I like about the role, to me, it was very apparent. I would assume it ultimately becomes apparent in the film what the reason and goal is. There's not a It's a specific reason and a specific goal, which to me isn't psychotic. There's a lot of perhaps peripheral damage because of the direction at at which things are going. There was one thing that got changed, sort of last minute, in retrospect I thought, oh, that could affect how the character's thought of, because as it was written, essentially, there was always a cause for the action when there was any kind of damage. There was, like I said, there was one thing that got changed. I actually will see the film tonight for the first time. So yeah, I could have seen it before, but I want to see it with an audience. So I'm going to see it tonight on Wilshire Boulevard with an audience that's a paying audience, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. So I'll
I think
see
that's the
some of
best
these
way to
things.
see a film like this. You know what? I think that's great. Do you like watching yourself on screen, or does it make you nervous?
Uh, I will. I'll generally like it. I'll like it if I feel as though I've done a good job. Usually I do. Sometimes I make mistakes, like anybody, and I'll be fairly hard on myself if I feel as though I've made a mistake. But and I can tell fairly quickly if I've made a mistake. Usually I can tell while I'm doing it. It's very rare that I'll have realized I made a mistake afterwards, but that has happened. And then that would be harder for me to watch. Then it's just like, I know I made a mistake, I don't want to watch it. I've had that happen. But I mean, early in my career, as learning and seeing myself, it was valuable for me to see myself and assess what. And I'm talking when I was like 16 years old or something. It was 16 through 18. Definitely there were learning strides, but ideally you're always learning. You know, I'll reassess things every once in a while as to what I'm wanting to do.
Yeah. Well, I think you're going to be very pleasantly pleased
I
tonight when you see this
feel very
character.
good about this part. I feel this was a great role, and I loved working with Roger and the crew and the cast, and I feel very good about this movie.
Well, you should. You should. You did an excellent job. Listen, I wish I could talk to you forever, but I got a couple other things I want to ask
Yeah.
you about. You have so much on the go, and like you said, you do these shows that you tour around. But I understand that you are working on a project that's going to involve not just yourself, but for your dad, who
Correct.
you've never worked with before.
Well,
Can you tell me about that?
I've worked with him as a director. He was in my second film. Both of my parents were in my second film and in the new film. But this film primarily focused on myself working with my father as an actor. I'd never acted with him before this film. So that was interesting. And I will have the film ready for 2020. I've been working on it for many years. And I'm excited for people to see it. It's a lot of work has gone into this film. I started developing it. I premiered my first film in Sundance in 2005, What Is It? Then my second film in Sundance called It Is Fine, Everything Is Fine in 2007. Starting in 2007 was when I was developing this project that will be ready finally next year. There were 2.5 years of set building. There was, of course, script writing. We started shooting it at my property in the Czech Republic on 18,000 square feet of sets that I had built for it. And every year from 2013 to last year, 2018, I had shot at least one production segment. And we shot on 35 millimeter film negative. And this year I've been, so last year I finally felt like I had everything that I really wanted. And this year I was editing all the way through, and I physically am editing the film. And now I am finally ready to, I mean, I'm still working on it even now, but it's going to be ready for next year for certain.
Well, good stuff. Well, we really look forward to
Yeah.
that and everything that you're doing. But I have to say, Lucky Day, like I say, it's just one crazy wild ride. I
Good.
mean, listen, co-written by the guy who did Pulp Fiction.
Yes.
How can it not be great?
Yeah. Roger's great. I've worked with Roger previously as well. Roger co-wrote Beowulf with Neil Gaiman. It was originally written for himself to direct. I'm working with Neil Gaiman right now on American Gods, which we're shooting in Toronto. And of course, it's based on Neil's beautiful novel of the same title. And he's the executive producer. But the reason I'm in Beowulf is because Zemeckis, who had directed Back to the Future, had read the script and ended up purchasing it from Roger. But he said, because Roger was originally going to direct it, that he would use the cast actors that Roger and Neil had wanted. And I was the person that was wanted for Grendel, who I played. And, there'd been a lawsuit about the sequel to Back to the Future because the producers had taken prosthetics, or rather the mold that was made from my face from the original film for the old age makeup and made prosthetics to put on a different actor in order to make that actor look like me, to fool audiences into believing that I was in the film, which of course is illegal. There was a lawsuit. This is something that won't ever happen to another actor again, luckily. But you know, when something like that happens, you feel like, well, I'll never work with any of those people again. But it was a very good experience working with Zemeckis again on Beowulf. I ultimately had two good working experiences with Zemeckis on the Back to the Future, the film I'm in, the original film, and on Beowulf. So I thank Roger and Neil Gaiman both for that. So I've really enjoyed working with both Roger and Neil Gaiman. Very good people.
Well, keep up the great work, Crispin. Listen, you are just giving us such wonderful, and again, always we'll keep looking out for you here in Toronto. But best of luck. Have fun tonight at the
Thank you.
screening, and thank you so much for your time. Love
You
chatting
too.
with you.
Thank you very much.